AEW star Daniel Garcia reportedly was written off AEW television due to his contract being set to expire soon. Triple H welcomes back WWE Hall of Famer Jesse the Body Ventura to WWE for the first time in 15 years last night on Raw. We'll let you know all the comments and reactions to that. The rules for CM Punk vs. Drew McIntyre this weekend at SummerSlam have been laid down by special guest referee Seth freaking Rollins. The Wyatt Sicks unmasked last night on Raw. We hear from Dexter Lumis, and a match has been set up for next week. The Miz is announced as the host of SummerSlam this weekend. Rey Fenix's AEW contract reportedly is set to expire soon. Damage Control make their return to WWE television with a match being set up for next week. We have the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown, and Hangman Page versus Darby Allin for the first time ever this week on AEW Dynamite. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off with an interesting development when it comes to the future of Daniel Garcia in All Elite Wrestling. Now, the July 3rd, 2024 episode of AEW Dynamite saw MJF launch an attack on Daniel Garcia that has written him off AEW TV. Now, an extended cut of the attack can be seen on social media, with Garcia being loaded onto a backboard and sent to a hospital after the assault. The official AEW Twitter account provided an update in the wake of the attack, confirming that Garcia was in a Chicago hospital and, quote, under observation for cervical injuries, end quote. Now, more details have now emerged of the reason that Garcia has been written off AEW television for. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio about Garcia's AEW status, Brian Alvarez said, quote, "What I know is that when he did that angle, they were aware that he might not be back, and so the angle was done in case he doesn't come back. And if he does come back, then they've got a storyline feud with MJF. I know he had been thinking about it, or he had told people he had been thinking about what he was going to do, which he should do. I don't think it's 100% that he's coming back, but I don't think that he has re-signed or decided to leave yet. But that was one of the reasons he was taken out in storyline," end quote. Now, it was previously reported that Garcia's AEW contract was set to expire in the fall of 2024, according to sources. According to the report, a top AEW name stated they didn't believe that Garcia was going to be leaving the company. The source would also express the belief that Garcia has already re-signed with All Elite Wrestling. Of course, Daniel Garcia debuted for AEW in September 2020 and signed his contract in October of 2021. So what are your thoughts when it comes to Daniel Garcia? What do you think happens for his future? Do you think he re-signs, comes back, feuds with MJF, or do you think he could leave AEW? Let me know your reaction, your prediction in the comment section below. Now, Jesse the Body Ventura, yes, WWE Hall of Famer, former governor, is back in WWE. This past week's Raw was held in St. Paul, Minnesota, and had a special guest as WWE Hall of Famer Jesse the Body Ventura was spotted backstage greeting and talking to WWE CCO Paul Triple H Levesque. Levesque took to Twitter to welcome home the legendary wrestler and commentator. The interaction between the two was also telecast on Raw, where WWE commentator Michael Cole listed out Ventura's various achievements. Quote, "Welcome home, Jesse Ventura. Honored to have one of the all-time greats back to WWE Raw tonight," said the game. Now, Ventura has also posted on X about his appearance on Raw and added that he is back home and thanked Triple H and the rest of WWE, while also alluding to CM Punk's past comment about hell freezing over following his return to WWE. He said, quote, "Yes, it's true. The body is back home. Thank you, Triple H and the whole WWE family. CM Punk looks like hell froze over again," said Ventura. Now, in another post on X, which we can see on the screen right there, Ventura was seen shaking hands with the aforementioned CM Punk, with him highlighting that his return to WWE was for such moments. Now, the former governor of Minnesota, who had a major falling out with Vince McMahon and WWE in the past, disappeared from the pro wrestling business in the 90s and began a career in politics. He later returned during the Attitude Era and was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He famously returned to the commentary table alongside the aforementioned McMahon in 2009, which was his last appearance in WWE before this week's backstage appearance on Raw. Ventura had revealed earlier this year that he has been having discussions with WWE, expressing that the new direction that the WWE is going towards convinced him about talking with the promotion once again. So what are your thoughts when it comes to Jesse Ventura being around last night at Raw? What do you think it means for the future? Could we see another appearance of Ventura at the commentary table at some point in the future? Would you like to see that? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Now, speaking of CM Punk, of course, he's set to return to action this coming weekend at SummerSlam, and last night's Raw started off with a face-off between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, with special guest referee for SummerSlam, Seth Rollins, with Michael Cole mentioning Drew McIntyre's social media behavior this past weekend, bringing up some things from CM Punk's past. The deleted photo of McIntyre with AEW's Jack Perry was seemingly acknowledged, but not outright mentioned. Seth Rollins would go on to reveal the solitary rule for SummerSlam after both McIntyre and Punk made their entrances. He said, quote, "You two will listen to everything I have to say. I call the shots. I'm the boss. I'm the law. I count to 3 when I want to count to 3. You tap out when I say you can tap out. If there's a count out, I might count to 10. I might count to 20. I might count to 1,000,000. Disqualifications, referee's decision." But if they don't listen to him, he noted that he isn't going to be shoved around, with the first holder of the current World Heavyweight Championship saying, quote, "I'm not some little referee that you can push around. I'm a spiteful little bastard, and I will put your head in the dirt." Well, there was then something of a face-off between Punk and Rollins, with Punk noting that he didn't want Rollins' help at all. McIntyre took over on the mic. He reminded CM Punk that he has to worry about McIntyre on Saturday, but Punk would retort that Drew is the third wheel in the match. Drew then taunted Punk with the bracelet that he recently took off him to end the segment, which features the name of Punk's wife and dog, AJ and Larry. Punk got heated, but he wasn't allowed to make contact with McIntyre or the match would be called off. Now, the Wyatt Sicks, a lot of development when it comes to the mysterious faction last night on Raw. Chad Gable will tell everyone that listens that the Wyatt Sicks are after him, and to be fair, it's a tough charge to deny. 2 weeks ago, the strange and disturbing group returned to Raw after Gable and his new muscles attacked their leader, Bo Dallas. The attack succeeded despite Gable having enlisted the Creed brothers for protection, replacing his previous stable, Alpha Academy. Gable hasn't been allowing the range of the faction to scare him away from the ring, however, as he joined the Creeds for their match against Otis and Akira Tozawa on Raw. After the Creeds won the match, all three men began stomping Otis, but Maxine Dupree interfered, slapping Gable in the face and putting her hands up in a fighting position. That's when the lights started to go out, the smoke began to rise, and the music of Gable's Nightmares began to play. As the Creeds and Gable stood ready in the ring, 3/5 of the Wyatt Sicks slowly approached the ring. Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, and Dexter Lumis removed their masks to reveal their faces for the first time since joining the stable. Gable tried to duck out as usual, and Nikki Cross hit him from behind with a crossbody off the top turnbuckle and then removed her mask as well. Lumis and Gacy brawled with the Creeds, and Rowan took them down simultaneously with a Bray Wyatt-esque crossbody. As Gable backed up the ramp, he was suddenly confronted by a masked Bo Dallas, aka Uncle Howdy, and fled the scene. But it wasn't the only development, as I mentioned, when it comes to the Wyatt Sicks. We learned a lot more about Dexter Lumis last night. Another week of Raw, another step closer to understanding more about each individual member of the Wyatt Sicks, this time with Dexter Lumis in all his Mercy the Buzzard glory as the focal point. Not long after, Lumis, alongside Joe Gacy and Eric Rowan, unmasked and got physical inside a WWE ring for the first time since their collective return as part of the faction. A pre-tape vignette was shown, giving us some insight into Lumis' evolution in the familiar VHS style shown previously with vignettes featuring Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas, Rowan, and Nikki Cross. Lumis, now dreadlocked and showing off a painted X on his forehead, was shown in a trance-like state, while the customary voiceover recited, "A man just looking for mercy. They built their empire next to the sea. They laughed as they watched you drown, but there's freedom in sinking. Look at what you've become. Tell me, brother, tell me. What should they do when the buzzard starts circling?" To that, Lumis recited the customary Wyatt utterance, "Run," as the segment ran its course. The first word Lumis has spoken on WWE programming, as I mentioned, kind of because he did speak briefly when he got married to Indy Hartwell in WWE NXT, saying, "I do." From there, Chad Gable, with the Creed brothers at his side, approached Raw General Manager Adam Pearce, stating that he'd solved more of the mystery surrounding the identities of the Wyatt Sicks, identifying Gacy, Loomis, and Rowan by name before requesting a 6-man tag on next week's episode. Pearce was quick to oblige before saying, "Be careful what you wish for," as the group stepped away. So that match is now confirmed for next week's episode, the post-SummerSlam episode of Raw. Speaking of SummerSlam, the host for this weekend's biggest event of the summer has been revealed. While there have already been special musical guests announced in the form of Jelly Roll, now there's been a full host announced for the PLE too. In a backstage segment on last night's July 29 episode of Raw, it was confirmed that The Miz would be the host of SummerSlam 2024 in his hometown of Cleveland. Popping in on the backstage interview segment with Kathy Kelly, R-Truth also offered his assistance to The Miz. Despite Miz's protest that he didn't need any help, it seems unlikely some of R-Truth's shenanigans won't ensue on Saturday at SummerSlam. So The Miz is confirmed as the host for this weekend. Now, going back to AEW and contracts, a bit more of an update because the contract year of 2024 continues to be a wild one, doesn't it? Earlier this year, it was reported that Penta El Zero Miedo's AEW contract is set to expire this year and that he does have interest from WWE. However, Fightful Select are reporting they have been told he is not the only one, as his Lucha Brothers teammate Rey Fenix also sees his contract expire this year. Now, Fightful say they haven't nailed down when that will be as of right now, but those that they've spoken to say that AEW, of course, want to retain Fenix and Penta, and there were offers extended and contract talks. Fightful have not heard how those talks have been. Fenix, much like Penta, is expected to have interest from WWE. Of course, both men are AEW originals, having been with All Elite Wrestling since 2019. If we get any more details on that, of course, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Damage Control, they're back on WWE television. A new women's trio has been dominating Raw in recent weeks, that being Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. This week, the three women injured Zelina Vega backstage before defeating the team of Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, and Lyra Valkyria. Following the match, however, Deville, Baszler, and Stark were confronted by ghosts of Mondays past as Damage Control returned to get their revenge on the woman who briefly took them out of action. Damage Control attacked all three members of Deville's team, driving from the ring to the outside, where Sky hit them with a moonsault off the top rope. Damage Control then posed in the ring where their enemies had been posing moments before, re-establishing their control over the Red brand. Backstage, Kathy Kelly spoke with Damage Control about Stark, Deville, and Baszler, saying they run Raw now. Sane and Sky answered her in Japanese. Kai said the only reason they could try to take over is because they weren't there. She called out Deville for a match next Monday and said they'll see what happens when they cut off the head of the snake. And according to a graphic on social media, the match has been now made official. So that match is now confirmed. Now, let's talk about the ratings for Friday's episode of SmackDown. Of course, this episode was taped. Now, the July 26th episode of SmackDown show a sharp decline in viewership and an even larger decrease in the key demographic ratings due to them facing some very tough competition. As per WrestleNomics, the show brought in a total of 2.058 million viewers, an 11% decline from last week's show, which had garnered 2.313 million viewers. The overall viewership saw a 10% reduction from the average of the previous 4 weeks. Meanwhile, the 18 to 49 demographic witnessed a 20% decrease from the previous week, registering a rating of a 0.52 from a 0.65 on the July 19 episode of SmackDown, while the show's ratings also saw a 22% decrease compared with the average of the trailing 4 weeks. The report claimed that the key demographic rating is the lowest since the December 29, 2023 edition of SmackDown. Now, the fall in viewership and ratings does not come as a surprise, as the Blue brand was broadcast in the same time as the opening ceremony of the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris, France. As per the report, the opening ceremony raked in nearly 29 million viewers across NBC's platforms. In addition to that, of course, the show was taped last week as WWE was in Japan as part of their ongoing tour. Last week's show did not feature undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes, who was away due to being part of WWE's Japan tour. A women's tag team match headlined the show as Mitchell and Bayley took on Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, with the latter coming away with the victory. The show also saw the Bloodlines, Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu become #1 contenders for the WWE tag team titles after they won the tag team gauntlet match. And finally, a major match announced for this Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS, a first time ever bout. After a run of AEW Dynamite episodes that featured Beach Break, Dynamite 250, and Blood and Guts, AEW CEO Tony Khan has added a blockbuster match to the July 31st show that will see two men face each other for the first time ever. During the Blood and Guts match between the Elite and Team AEW, there were only brief interactions between Hangman Adam Page and Darby Allin, who had previously only had one untelevised match against each other back in 2020. Now they will get the chance to see what the other is really made of, as they're set to go one-on-one Wednesday night in Greensville, South Carolina. Not only did both men go through the punishment of Blood and Guts, but they each had their own roles to play in the Royal Rampage match that was pre-taped, obviously, later on that evening, and it aired on Rampage on Friday. Page interfered to assault Jeff Jarrett for uncuffing his rival, AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland, during Blood and Guts, while Darby Allin competed in the match itself and outlasted everyone, earning himself a shot at the AEW World Championship at the Grand Slam episode of Dynamite later on this year. Elsewhere, on the July 31st show, Mariah May will have a sit-down interview with Renee Paquette ahead of her AEW Women's World Championship match with Timeless Toni Storm at All In, while Bryan Danielson would also be looking ahead to All In and beyond as he will address the live audience. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander will again go one-on-one, this time in an eliminator match where Statlander can earn a shot at Nightingale's CMLL World Women's Championship with a victory, and Will Ospreay will perform for the first time since losing the AEW International Championship as he takes on Lance Archer. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.